This is Brindlewood Bay Part 4, our last session with this group if you're following the videos. We are actually in the middle of a mystery, the long dark tea time of the Soulless, and so let's go ahead and recap that mystery. This mystery revolves around a bed and breakfast, a fairly new bed and breakfast in Brindlewood Bay called Snowdrop House. An old friend of Kate's, I believe, a one Letitia Dawes, actually wanted to hang out with Kate, but then the other two mavens came along to Snowdrop House, this bed and breakfast, and just kind of catching up and everything. And in the middle of catching up, fell over dead. We don't know how. We assume poisoning. It seems like it was poisoning. We never really quite established that bit. But in any case, there's a fair amount going on in this particular mystery. There's a lot of stuff happening, a lot of stuff related to the town, to the history of the town, to players in the town. I think probably the best thing to do is just start off with the suspects. These are all people who were present when Letitia died, either in the dining room or thereabouts when Letitia died. And so, first of all, we have Letitia, who is the victim, journalist, old friend of Kate. Interestingly and importantly, Letitia was an investigative journalist. So she broke big stories, back in the day. And her and Kate were kind of hellraisers back in the day as well. Now, she claims she was here just doing puff pieces for her sort of retirement gig of, writing for a travel magazine. But we started to find out that maybe there was more to it than that. The owners of the bed and breakfast are Ava and Phoenix Cole. They are fairly new transplants to Brindlewood Bay. They are from New York originally. And Ava is a sort of icy perfectionist, and Phoenix is a sort of glad-handing, nice guy. Mrs. Carfax is an elderly woman who has a permanent room at Snowdrop House. She actually lived in Snowdrop House before it was Snowdrop House as well. Damien Swallows is a businessman who is in town, currently buying up property to do real estate deals, essentially. Percy Underwood is the young man who works at Snowdrop House. He's a local, and his whole thing is he's always seen in a different costume. He has aspirations for joining the theater, and so he's always switching costumes. Lara Sanchez is a podcaster. She actually knows about the Murder Mavens because she is the host of a true crime podcast, currently ranked 464th on true crime, by the way. And she just happened to be there when Letitia died, and Murder Mavens were there, and she's very excited because of what this is going to do for her show. She might rise up into the 200s after this. Abraham Stockton is a farmer and curmudgeon and the former owner of Snowdrop House. It used to be called Stockton Farms, and he lost it because he wasn't paying his property taxes, and Ava Cole swept in and bought it up. And so he's very angry at the Coles. He's also dead, which we'll get to in a minute. And then acting Sheriff Anderson was actually on scene at the time of the crime. We get the impression that he's kind of harassing Percy a little bit, he has a thing for Percy, and Percy's trying to kind of avoid him. And so that's sort of what's going on there. But he was there when Letitia died. Now, let's talk about the clues you have so far. You know that Letitia broke a story 5 years ago about the Coles and their pharmaceutical business. They were involved in a pharmaceutical scandal that ruined their business, and Letitia broke that story. There is a warning to not give away that Letitia was going to be at Snowdrop House. I can't quite remember the exact context of that one. That was a clue that one of the players made up. And I can't remember, was it a cell phone message or something?
Yeah, it was to Kate to
right.
Not, before we went to the Snowdrop House,
right.
Not to tell anyone that we were coming.
That's right. Thank you. They're growing poisonous nightshade in the garden behind Snowdrop House. That is a clue. And also a rusty old box with land deeds, or an old box with old land deeds. This is a really, really intriguing clue because there's a cave system on the land, and I believe it was Opal. Opal went to this cave system by herself in the middle of the night, by the way, and found Damien Swallows, the businessman, in the cave. He appeared to be looking for something, and he had this box with like ancient land deeds from like the founding of the town. And that whole scene was interrupted, though, because when they left the caves together, they found Abraham Stockton, the farmer, bled out from the neck like a pig, hanging from his the passenger side of his truck. And that was the sort of like the first cliffhanger we stopped on right there. We left Millie playing checkers with Mrs. Carfax, if I recall correctly. Millie had the most mundane of the endings. And Kate had the most cliffhanging ending, because Kate was kidnapped, taken to a place where a bunch of pigs are kept, tied up to a stake in the middle of this pen, and a shadowy figure singing I Don't Care If the Sun Don't Shine, unleash the pigs on Kate to eat Kate. And that is where we stopped. Now, Daniel invoked the Gold Crown Mysteries move, and apparently Amanda Delacourt was raised on a farm and knew how to do a pig call. And so this was how Kate was going to escape, was recalling this. I think what I'm going to do, because I think it's more interesting, and because we have to get Daniel W.'s character in here, Rosemary, I think what would be interesting is if Rosemary saw Kate being tied up and Rosemary has to go rescue Kate. Now, I think that makes a lot of sense, especially with Michael Knight, right? That could be a lot of fun. So, so you get a chance to be a hero here, Rosemary. I think I pretty well covered it, though. Is there anything else that I need to be reminded of?
I would add that I have an advancement where I picked up a new move, BA Brackus, just in case.
Oh, good. Oh, yeah. That's another perfect for this moment kind of move, right? I like it. Okay, so we'll pick up with Rosemary. Rosemary, you were driving around in your van, right?
Van.
Yeah. And you thought you saw someone who looked like Kate being dragged somewhere deep in the woods. And so you followed at a relatively safe distance, and you observed a shadowy figure, seemed like a man based off their build, tying Kate to a stake in the middle of an open pen.
Mm-hmm.
And then you saw that the pigs were being herded toward the pen. This person clearly means for the pigs to attack and kill Kate.
Yep.
What do you do?
I turn on the high beams and floor the van to be between Kate and the pigs.
I like it. That sounds really good to me. Let's do the night move.
Okay.
Because it is around 6 o'clock at night and the sun is down.
Uh-huh.
What are you afraid is going to happen if you fail?
I'm afraid that the pigs are going to clobber my home.
Very good. It's worse than that. They're going to clobber you as well.
Okay.
So go ahead and roll with, I say roll with vitality here. You do get advantage because of the van.
That is a 12.
Awesome. That's great. I will let you save Kate. Go ahead and describe it.
Yeah. I say that the van pulls up with so it's one of those vans where the door only slides on one side. And so I pull up and just place the van in front of the charging herd of pigs, and they all kind of pull up and then snort and don't really know what to do. and I slide into the back seat and just slide open the door and reach out and just haul Kate into the van and shut the door and then drive out to the hole in the fence that we made. It's like, oh, that was very scary. What was happened? Why are you out here? Take the gag out of your mouth.
I was grabbed, and he's still here. There's still a man here. We got to get out of here. There's a man still
here. Let's go. And then just floor it, and then you see the back of the van fishtail and all the beads and accoutrement in the van just swish back and forth as we speed up the road.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Yeah, and then I guess I'll get the information on where everyone was, and
yeah, you get caught up. Yeah.
It was like maybe it was book club night, and I was the only one at the meeting house. I'm like, where is everyone?
Yeah, I like that. That's good. You get a bonus because it was a 12 plus.
Nice.
And I'm going to say that the bonus is, I'm going to say the bonus is a clue. I'll give you a clue. Let me take a look at the list. Something that you might have observed, Kate, while you were being prepared to be slaughtered by pigs. And I think what you would have noticed is whoever was tying you up had a bus ticket out of town. That's your clue, in their pocket.
We have to go back to the Snowdrop house. That's where Rosemary. That's where Millie's in danger. That's where I was, and if I'm in danger, then Millie is probably in trouble right now.
Indeed. We'll come back to that in a moment. Opal, I'm going to give you the option.
Yeah, Millie's the one in trouble.
Yeah. Opal, I'm going to still give you the option to put on a crown to avoid Abraham Stockton's death if you wish.
Oh, I can do that.
It's up to you. You don't have to. If you want to keep rolling with this angle, we can. You eliminate a suspect if nothing else.
Yeah.
But
actually, I think that I'm intrigued by this murder occurring.
Damien, he's like, oh my God. Oh, I gotta get out of here. I can't be around when something like this is going on, being implicated, like even by association with 2 murders. No. That is not for me. I'm just here trying to buy up land from you local yokels. And he leaves. He's just walking.
Is he trying to take that those land deeds with
yes,
him?
he is. He's definitely trying to get those.
Can Bass, my little kitty cat, who I brought with me for emotional comfort, can Bass, when he's closer to the body, just sort of jump up and knock it out of his hands? I'm just that way like that. It gets knocked out and he just has the body right in front of him.
I think that's really good. You have that Gordon Shumway move, right?
Yeah.
Go ahead and this is a night move. What are you afraid is going to happen if you fail?
My cat's gonna get hurt.
I think it's worse than that. He's going to steal the cat and the deeds.
My cat!
He's got both. Go ahead and roll with, it's going to be presence, but it can be sensitivity too. What kind of connection do you have with the cat? Is it like more psychic, or is it just like do you actually physically tell them to go do something?
I mean, it is me telling the cat to go do something, but also I'm talking human words to a cat.
Right,
the cat's responding.
You could roll a sensitivity.
The haunted murder cat that keeps having its owners die.
You roll sensitivity, but because of your conditions, I'm going to make it a flat roll. It would be with advantage normally, but just roll flat dice.
All right, that is a 11.
Nice. Go ahead and describe how Bast prevents Damien Swallows from leaving with the deeds.
Yeah, Bast sort of hops out of her little carrier and starts bounding after, and then just jumps up and starts chewing on the handle like it's a cat toy, and just sort of not knocking all the documents all over the ground by the body.
I like it. That's great. At Carfax, or at Snowdrop House, Mrs. Carfax gets up and she says, "Well, it's about time for me to go to bed, dear. Would you mind helping me up the stairs to my room? Normally Phoenix does it, but he's not around."
Oh, well, I suppose I can help you with that. And she'll kind of smile and stand up.
As she's going up the stairs, she says, "You haven't lived in Brindlewood Bay very long, have you, dear?"
No, not long at all. Only a couple of years now.
Well, it is a town with a very, very interesting history, wouldn't you say?
I can't say as I know that much about it, I will admit. I've obviously been around the museum and all that, but
Yes, well, I know something that the museum won't have any exhibits about.
oh yes, some of the inside gossip.
Well, it was the spring of 1942. I was just a little girl, and the wreckage from a Nazi U-boat washed ashore on Brindlewood Bay. The U-boat appeared to have been torn to pieces, quite literally ripped apart, like a sort of crusty baguette torn in half. The interior bulkheads had strange scratchings all over them, symbols, my father thought. No bodies ever turned up, but there was at least one reported survivor, a submariner whose mind was shattered and who committed suicide by repeatedly slamming his head into a wall shortly after being detained. The US government gathered the pieces of the wreckage before it could become a major story in the papers. Very, very few people know that bit of history about Brindlewood Bay.
Well, that's certainly ghoulish but intriguing. All the best historical stories are, really, aren't they?
Yes, I suppose they are. I have begun to think as of late that whatever did that to that Nazi U-boat must still be down there beneath the waters, don't you think?
I suppose so. If it's not washed up somewhere since, then I presume it is still down there.
She gets to her room and sits down in her bed, and she's, before you can leave, she says, "Oh, dear, would you do me a favor? I I left something in the bathroom, a little bag with pink polka dots. I keep some of my nighttime things in it. It just across the hall there, a common bathroom. Would you mind going and grabbing it for me?"
Of course.
When you go, if you glance across the hall, you will see that the bathroom door is quite open. And maybe it was closed when you came up the stairs, but maybe not. But in any case, what do you do?
Yeah, I think I will walk across the hall and into the bathroom. I will probably do that, with the door being open. I will do that like little peek around just to make sure that no one's actually in there and just hasn't closed the door behind them. But
the light is not on in the bathroom, but there's just a shaft of moonlight coming in from the window, and there is a shower. Well, it's like a clawfoot tub with a plastic hanging over it, plastic shower curtain. And you hear from the other side of the shower curtain, what do you do? First of all, night move. What are you afraid is going to happen if you lose your nerve right here?
I think that all of the kind of the unnerving stuff is just going to kind of get to Millie, and she's just going to leave, but she's going to do a runner basically.
You're going to run, and it's worse than that. Someone's going to chase you. If you wish to proceed, you can. Otherwise, you can turn away and just forget this whole bathroom thing altogether.
I think I'm going to proceed. I will. I'll kind of call out. Excuse me, just getting something was left in here. I'm not going to look at whatever's going on.
Make a night move with composure.
Yeah, sure thing. That is a 6.
A 6. You hear a ripping as a knife pierces the plastic and just splits it down the middle. Someone is stepping out of the shower. What do you do?
Yeah, I think that will be the point of turning and running.
Indeed. You run down the stairs. I assume you're running out of Snowdrop House, or are you going somewhere else?
No, yeah, out the front door, or out the closest door, I guess. But yeah.
You will see the van pulling up into the driveway right at that moment. Kate and Rosemary, you'll see Millie running, bolting out, and a shadowy figure behind Millie with a knife. What do you do? Kate, I'll let you act since you're on the passenger side, not controlling the vehicle.
I think I'm gonna yell at Rosemary to turn on the high beams.
Yeah, I can do that.
Done. Then what? Oh, you want to see what you can see?
What do we?
What do we see?
What's chasing? What's chasing?
It's a person wearing a long cloak and a hood, like a robe and a hood.
I'm gonna hit him with the car.
I love it. Rosemary, it's another
One more body.
One more body.
It's another night move. You
In self-defense. Well, friend defense.
make it. Hold on, free roll. Whatever is going to happen if you fail.
That I'm gonna miss, and this person's gonna murder my friend.
Yeah, this person's going to murder your friend. It's worse than that. They're also going to. You're also going to be beset by other people dressed the same way.
No.
Well, with
Yeah.
I think it's actually with
I think
composure this time. Yeah, composure this time.
And advantage
Sure.
because I use in the van.
Yeah.
It's my composure 10.
Nice. Go ahead and describe how you get Millie to safety.
That same kind of power slide move. Well, it's the reverse of when we were leaving the farm. I power slide the van into the person, and the back door slides open, and we jump out to get Millie, and then we go around the side of the car expecting to see someone there. I assume that they're not there.
They are not there. No.
Yeah. Checks out. They just you hear a giant thunk, and then gone. They should have been dead though.
Yeah.
Maybe someone jumped out and grabbed them.
Who knows? Who knows? I'm going to fast forward a little bit. While the three of you are peeling out of Snowdrop House out to the country road, I'm going to say that you see Opal there, walking quickly along the country road, Opal.
Doc-
Unless you had other plans, Opal.
Document carriers
Yeah.
in one hand and cat carrier in the other.
Exactly.
How many cardigans is she wearing?
Enough to provide armor against whatever stabbery occurred to Abraham. Just head waving because she can't lift either of her arms.
Very good. But the four of you can be together. You still have a murder to sort out. You have 5 clues on a 7 complexity, so you probably want to continue the investigation a bit. You can continue tonight with other things, or you can do something else. But in any case, I'll turn the scene over to you guys.
Hey, ladies. Mr. Stockham's been murdered. Would you like to go check that out?
Well, it certainly seems to have been a night for it. Someone tried to do me in back there as well. Thank you again, Rosemary, for the timely intervention.
No problem. Yeah, which direction? I'll get directions and we'll go drive over to Mr. Stockton's body. You guys have just been up to it tonight, haven't you?
Also, Kate, I think you might be interested in these. I thunk the documents down.
I use the dashboard drop down vanity mirror light to start rifling through them. What do we have here?
I will tell you that it is it's very old land deeds. And have we talked about the history of the Deep Reaver yet in this campaign? I can't remember.
A little bit.
I
They
think
back
that
a
was
whale
last
thing.
session. Yeah.
Yeah, the whale thing. Okay, so I think anybody who knows anything about the history of the town will recognize a lot of the people who were on the Deep Reaver, their names at least. And these are essentially like ancient deeds of title, ancient by American standards at least, ancient deeds of title for pieces of land around the town. And a lot of these people who purchased it were people from the Deep Reaver. And it's interesting because if these deeds were filed properly, it would probably have a big bearing on who owns the land now, but they're not. They're like in a box in a cave. So make what you will of that. But that's essentially what it is.
That horrid property man was trying to sweep all of these up. But fortunately, Best wasn't going to let him get away.
Good job. We can turn these over to the Brindlewood Bay Historical Society for safekeeping as soon as possible.
Opal nods, cradling her cat.
Is there anything I can extrapolate from the names in the names of our suspects?
Oh, that's an interesting idea. I'll let you do a meddling move with definitely with reason. And yeah, go ahead and roll with reason.
Before I do, I was wondering if I could use my my black book for fundraising to maybe cross-reference some of the names.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I like that. That's great. Yeah,
Okay.
Go ahead and mark it and roll with advantage.
Okay. I got a 5, a 3, and a 3, so 8, 9.
Fantastic. Let me tell you what you find. Yes. you will find that many of these pieces of land were purchased out from under other Stocktons. It seems as if the Stocktons were sort of chased away from Brindlewood Bay proper and eventually had to settle on this farm on the outskirts of town. There are notes that indicate violence and threats were used in some of these land acquisitions. That's your clue. And I owe you a complication. I think I'm going to make the complication this. Kate, you had no reason to think so before. But there was a sailor on the Deep River, according to these records, named Sutton.
This find, Opal, is very interesting. The Stocktons had quite a few enemies, and here's a tie. Here's a tie to me as well in here.
To you?
Well, there could be lots of Suttons, but it's just it may be a coincidence, to be clear. But yeah.
Well, my side of the family was tied here, but not my husband's. Could be.
Could be.
Let's hope we can figure out what happened to Mr. Stockton.
You now have 6 clues. Where do you all want to go from here?
Yeah, to investigate the body.
All right. When you get to the truck, you see the blood, but the body is not there.
Well, I hope you'll believe I saw what I saw, given the copious amounts of blood on the ground.
There is a huge amount of blood on the ground.
So if he was injured, he probably didn't survive. Is that what we can ascertain from the blood?
He looked like he bled out completely, yeah.
I believe the phrase that jumped to mind was "like a pig." Sorry if that brings back any bad memories of recent events.
Bast is currently licking the blood.
Best. What are you doing, buddy?
Billy, what are you doing?
Yeah, I think Millie's going to be just kind of, I think, again, get the torch on her phone out, and is just going to be shining it around the undergrowth and the like, and see if there's any tire tracks or obvious signs of a dead body being dragged through the bush.
Is the truck gone?
No, the truck is still there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Uh,
But you can go ahead and make the meddling move, Millie, if you wish.
Cool. Yeah, I guess as well, while she's looking around, she might have a quick peek inside the truck as well, just to see.
Seems it's a logical thing to do. Yeah.
Yeah. However, that is a double one rather. Sorry, so 2. But I wonder if this. Oh, sorry.
Well, I'll tell you what's going to happen. You can decide.
Sure. Yeah. Go for it.
I think you're probably all naturally sort of poking around a bit. Millie is poking around the truck. Bast is furiously licking the pool of blood. And you start to hear sounds coming from the cave. Sounds of voices, multiple voices. Hear us. Hear us, Mother Persephone. We travel to the depths of the earth. We travel to your sacred womb. We are your servants, here to bring forth the child. Millie.
Yeah, I think I am going to use a mask here.
Crown. Yeah.
Yeah, a crown. Sorry, yes. Yeah, I will mark a mask of the crown.
Your result is a 7 to 9. The blood is not blood. It is red dyed corn syrup.
Excellent.
An old stage trick for sure. There is still a bit of a complication though. You just hear on a howl of wind from the cave and that sounds like a word. The child. That's it. But I'm going to give you the condition, in quotes, the child.
No.
So Opal did still see Andrew Stockton dead. Or what she presumably.
Opal saw Abraham Stockton hanging out of the passenger side of the truck,
right.
His throat apparently cut and bleeding out.
But the blood is red dyed corn syrup.
His indeed.
What's left? What's there? Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
it could be dead or it could be alive.
He's still in the area then. He may be. Which direction is the cave, Opal?
It's that ominous hole in the rocks that appears to be staring at me despite its apparent lack of eyes with malice and hatred. You see that too, right? That's not just, I'm not.
He has to still be around. If he's not dead, here's his truck. Are the keys? Do we have the keys?
Opal checks to see if the keys are still in the truck.
They are, sure. Yeah.
Well, if
You grab those, Opal.
Yeah, well, if he was, I suppose if he was faking it, then he would have taken the truck, but if someone else clonked him and made it look like he was dead, they could have taken him, but either way, yeah, not much places to go if you're lugging a body with you.
Where did Mr. Swallows go when he left?
I think it was towards the direction of Snowdrop House-ish. It was away from here. I was a little distracted by picking up the documents.
Well, let's take a 5-minute break. So, you're all at the mouth of the cave. It looks like Abraham Stockton's death was faked. It seemed very intentional so that either Damien Swallows or maybe Opal would find him dead. That's a little unclear what the intentions might have been. Or maybe people just generally want people to think Abraham Stockton is dead. I don't know. In any case, what are you all going to do?
Go into this cave, apparently.
We could try to figure out where Swallows went. We could maybe use the van to kind of scout around to see how this goes back to the Snowdrop house. Like, how did he go from one place to the other? Unless Opal thinks there's something in the cave that we need to check out as the full team of murder mavens.
Well, perhaps not the full team, but have any of you ladies looked into Taekwondo classes? I hear they could be helpful in our line of work.
I have my musket loaded back home, but it's I don't know if we have time to go get that.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. I didn't get much time to explore. I kind of got distracted by all the bones and also Mr. Swallows.
I think while this conversation's going on, Rosemary's getting her tiki torches out of her van to light them up to make the whatever is going on a little more visible.
Okay, sounds good. So let's just go around the table. Millie, what are you going to do?
Yeah, I think Millie is concerned by this cave, but also slightly intrigued. So if someone else is planning on investigating the caves, I think Millie will join them.
Rosemary wants to go into the cave. And she'll give her keys. She'll give her keys to someone else if they want to take the van.
Sounds good. Kate?
I think I'll go too, but I'm gonna check the pickup truck, for something to use as a tool or a weapon in the cave, whether it's a tire iron or I don't know if he keeps a revolver in the glove box. I don't know, but I'm looking for a weapon from.
Seems like
tool.
the type.
Yeah, probably you can find like a crowbar or something. Yeah. Opal? Well, then what, Kate? What are you gonna do at that point?
I'm gonna help with the tiki torches and cave expedition.
Okay, so you're going to the cave as well. Opal, what are you gonna do?
Yeah, no, Opal's not. After one of us got kidnapped and the other of us almost got knife murdered, Opal's gonna stick with the other three.
Yeah, I think that sounds like a good idea. Okay. So you begin stalking carefully into the darkness of the cave. What light source do you have? Do you take a tiki torch with you?
Yeah, we light the tiki torches.
Yeah, so everybody's got a tiki torch, kind of going down into the cave. It almost has the feeling of like a 1980s Kids on Bikes movie or something. And you get down and you get as far as Opal got before, where there were lots of like animal bones and things like that. But the cave system keeps going. And so you can keep going deeper if you wish. Millie, you all got to, I'm making the whispering of the child being a void clue. Cool. And so you now have 5 void clues. And Millie, you might be more tuned into the idea that there's something darker and deeper going on in this cave. Opal, you are numb, unnerved, and have been having dreams about the goddess Persephone. There's a lot going on with the two of you. Kate and Rosemary, it's just a creepy cave, and that's, it's creepy on its own, just on its merits, intrinsically creepy, I suppose. But in any case,
Yeah, is it just me, or does it seem like there's a lot of murders happening? I mean, I don't want to say there's some sort of dark conspiracy going on behind the scenes, but it's just starting to feel like a lot of murders, right?
There's definitely something unsettling in the air, something eerie. I can't quite place my finger on it, but it's as you say, the sheer volume of killings just that were attempted to be done this evening is there's clearly more here going. There's clearly more going on here than at first appears.
you will have guessed correctly,
Oh,
says a voice behind you.
well, that's a good. Oh wait, hang on. Who was that?
It is Mrs. Carfax,
The old lady?
the very old lady, even older than all of you. She says, "They are called the midwives of the fragrant void. They are, well, their history stretches back much, much further than Brindlewood Bay, but Brindlewood Bay has always known them from the moment of its inception."
Uh, uh, how would you happen to know about them? Got any, I don't know, relatives who are midwives or something?
She smiles and says, "My dear, nothing happens in this town without me knowing about it.
Oh,
Nothing stirs in the dark of these woods, of these old caves, in every jetty and every grotto. I know about it."
Did you send Mr. Swallows to retrieve the deeds?
She chuckles. The fate of poor Mrs. Wright, the Coles, even Abraham Stockton, is only tangentially connected to the work that my colleagues and I are doing.
okay, so your colleagues and you, right?
And yet, the connection, tangential though it is a connection, isn't it? The authorities care not for what we do. They do care who killed Mrs. Wright, just as you care who killed Mrs. Wright. And I recommend you go about the business of figuring that out. There's nothing for you in these caves. Go back to the world you know. Turn away from this.
Opal is going to look to her fellow mavens with an expression that very much so is not going to do that.
Who was Mrs. Wright again?
The
victim.
first victim. Yeah.
The
thought her name
first
was
victim?
Dawes.
Yeah, I thought it was Dawes. Lolita Dawes.
What was I saying, right? Oh, that's, I think there's
You're
an
saying
actress
right.
called Letitia Wright.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
that's what it is.
That's why I had that remember. Letitia Dawes, thank you.
Perfect. Okay.
Yeah. Who is Letitia Wright though? Why do I know that name? Who? What has she been
It's definitely an actress because
Yeah,
I had
I know
that
it's
thought
an
at the beginning of the session.
Yeah. It's there's an actress called Letitia Wright. Letitia Dawes is the victim. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, cool.
So she's saying leave. What do you do?
Rosemary will probably brandish her tiki torch as a weapon.
Quick question, Miss Carfax, what are your thoughts and feelings on pomegranates?
She gets a twinkle in her eye and says, Opal Lou,
That's me.
have you been dreaming of pomegranates?
I mean, maybe there's probably just sleepwalking. This is a poorly told lie.
She says, I would like to amend my command, ladies. I think the three of you should go back and figure out what happened to Mrs. Dawes. I would like to take Opal Lou a little deeper into the cave.
We're kind of like a package deal. You not sold separately, sort of thing.
She says, what a shame. And at this point, Kate, you'll be aware of it first. There are people pressing in from the darkness on the other side.
Sorry, ladies.
Behind us?
Kind of in the direction, yeah, so she's on one side and they're on the other side.
Yeah,
Basically.
okay, perfect. Yeah.
We're gonna have to, I think, grab her and maybe throw her into the crowd and skedaddle. What do you think?
Yeah, you're old, you nerd. You're old and weak. Us spry youngsters will overpower you easily.
It was your idea, Kate, so you can take point. Kate, what are you afraid is going to happen if you fail?
I'm afraid that what's her name? What was it? Carfax. I'm afraid Mrs. Carfax is a bit made out of sterner stuff, and she's more than a match for me. Than I'm assuming that she's
It's worse than that.
with me.
She will kill you with midwife magic.
Ooh.
Please go ahead and roll with vitality if you wish to press forward with this plan.
Vitality 0. Does a crowbar give me anything?
If you use it, I suppose. Oh, you don't have it as a personal quarters item or a cozy little place item. You do have one, but
it's a straight up 9, a 3 to 6.
Very good. You are going to be able to push her out of the way and run, but a servant of the midwives will be at the cave mouth to wait to greet you. You can mark a crown to avoid that or let it roll.
I will mark a crown, probably crown of the past.
Of the queen. Go ahead and mark that and then describe how you escape, all of you. Or you describe the escape, Daniel.
I think I'm gonna just kind of grab Mrs. Carfax and kind of spin her into the direction, and then shout, "Ladies, let's exit this cave!" And she kind of spins, and maybe she catches herself on the wall, maybe she doesn't. And then I'm using the tiki torch to find the way back out of the cave towards the van.
You can all get in the van, escape, no problem.
So about that Taekwondo.
Well, you're driving away. Probably not safe to go back to Snowdrop House right away. Certainly the caves are not safe. So are you all heading back to someone's house, I guess? You can call it a night, come back in the morning too.
Yeah. The only thing else I think we could do would be maybe to go cross-reference these land deed sales with what's actually recorded at like maybe the mayor's office or whatever.
We could also, I think I kind of did that with my
Okay.
with my
Yeah,
record. We could go back to the pig farm and to see what we could find there, or go back to my place and get the musket and load that up.
Who are you going to shoot with this musket?
Well,
Whoever we
I
have
could shoot
to.
5 to 10 people in about an hour, I guess.
Millie, what do you think?
Yeah, I feel like maybe getting a good night's sleep and revisiting Snowdrop House in the morning might be an idea. Perhaps in disguise, but yes, I think I don't think there's anything more in particular that Millie wants to get up to this evening.
We could, though, and playing off your disguise idea, Rosemary was not at the Snowdrop House, so we could send Rosemary in as a somebody, an unknown figure.
Wow.
Could I stay with one of you? Bass and I stay with one of you ladies tonight. I have a feeling I may have attracted some unwanted attention on accident.
You can stay with me, no problem.
Thanks, Kate.
Sleep in my van outside your house.
The night will pass uneventfully. The next day, you have 7 clues. You can certainly do some cozy moves right now, I suppose, to clear conditions, those of you have conditions, and you could also stumble on clues when you do the cozy move as well. So that might be an option. Or you can do some daytime follow-up. It's probably safer in general to move about in the day right now. So let's just go around the table. Millie, what do you want to do?
Yeah, I think Millie is going to go to her disguise kit or rather her stage makeup kit, and I'm trying to think who she'll. I think that she's going to disguise herself as essentially a what's the word I'm looking for? Like a food health and safety inspector.
Okay. Very good. And go back to Snowdrop House as a health.
Yeah.
It's very ironic for the health and safety inspector to roll up after a murder.
Everything good here? Everything all right? Is everything up to code? Is it all up to code?
But I love it. It's great. Okay. Kate, what do you want to do today?
I did want to volunteer Rosemary to go, and that's just a suggestion because they don't know you. And then I can take those deeds as Rosemary suggested and see if I can find anything else I can do that.
So going to the county records, basically.
Yeah, and then I'd be down for doing some poking around at
Sounds good.
if we don't come up with anything else.
Yeah. Opal, what about you?
Opal's feeling kind of down. She feels like she kind of messed things up and put everyone in danger yesterday. So she's probably, when the morning comes, just going to be glumly eating a pomegranate, like not even realizing that's what she grabbed from just scritching bass.
Indeed. We can start with Millie. Millie, let's see how your move works. You're very talented at passing yourself off as someone. Okay, so you just add that outfit to your cozy little place. The health and safety inspector disguise. And do you just like roll up to Snowdrop House, the front desk?
Yes, I think that she's got kind of a blonde curly wig on, and she's done something with her nose, and is wearing kind of a very plain looking pantsuit type outfit, and obviously has a clipboard.
Yeah, clipboard. Yeah. I think when you get to the front, they've managed to reopen the dining room at this point, and you are greeted by Ava at the front. She says, "Oh, I'm terribly sorry, but we're not renting any rooms out currently."
Oh, I see. That's unusual, certainly. Can I ask if there's a particular reason why you aren't?
And she says, "We had a bit of a last minute rush of reservations. Some people just can't get enough of this place."
I see. What
What is that clipboard you have there?
Yes, I was going to say the rooms aren't really a problem for me. I'm here to for your surprise inspection. I'm from the local food hygiene board.
She's like, "That's very interesting, because I was under the impression that in addition to not having a morgue, Brindlewood Bay also did not have a sanitation department or anything of the sort. Is this something new, or is this a county thing?"
Well, yes, being as you are listed as a destination on several county-affiliated websites, we do obviously have to go through all the necessary inspections here as well, as I'm sure you understand. We can't allow the health and safety of our guests to come into danger just because you happen to be in an unregulated backwater.
She says, "I see. Do you have some sort of documents or identification?"
Of course. And yeah, she'll start kind of going through some of the.
We'll make this a day move.
Yeah.
What are you phrasing?
Fraud.
Yeah. What are you phrasing happen if you fail right now?
I think that it's it's just going to be as simple as she's thrown off the premises, and I think they'll be kind of keeping a close eye for other people trying to turn up here.
Go ahead and roll with composure.
Sure thing. And I am going to call in the disguise here at this point.
You can mark it, yeah.
Though I do have marked by Ava Cole as a condition, so I assume that will come into play.
Indeed. That would have be a problem. So you roll flat dice. Yeah.
That is a 7.
good. She says, very well. I suppose you'll be wanting to look at the kitchen, the dining room.
Kitchen is probably the best place to start. Yes, thank you.
Well, I'll certainly be happy to accompany you while you do your inspection. And after you, she.
Yeah. And I'll Millie will nod and say, yes, of course. That's to be expected. I can give you my notes as we take a look around.
Indeed. And we'll come back to this scene. Kate and Rosemary, going into the county records is no trouble. You're certainly, as a citizen of the county, you're certainly entitled to go look through records. You don't
I don't think Rosemary's with me though.
Oh, what did Rosemary do?
I wasn't going to go. I was going to go to Snowdrop House, though I'm down.
Oh, okay.
Whatever.
No, that's fine. There's probably one person at county records is probably plenty. So Kate, rather, you are allowed into the records. The woman at the front says, "What specifically are you looking for? Maybe I can help narrow down your search."
Well, I have come into possession. I have the big box. I have come into possession of a lot of really old deeds that were not properly filed, and I just need to try to get these to the probably the county court clerk. I'm not for sure who gets them, but I would like to make sure they're not fake, of course. And so I wanted to check some of the records to see if I could cross-reference them.
She says, yeah, this is really old stuff. Wow, I mean, this is like, should be in a museum kind of stuff.
Look how well preserved they are. It's like they were in somebody's dry basement.
Yeah, that's incredible. Or like a cave. And she says, yeah, please. And she's come this way. We have lots of, well, I mean, the best place to start, and she sort of like pulls one out, is, she says everything is kind of, land records are kind of divided up, like sort of by, I think she rolls out a map for you, and she shows you that, like, various, basically every little like kind of segment of the map has its own little section in the records, and kind of showing you how to do it and everything. And she'll leave you to it. And so I assume you're going to be just kind of going through records. Just do the cozy move, or the meddling move with, I'd say reason.
Got a 6 on a 4. My reason's 1. That is, wait a minute. 6 4. That's 11.
Very good. You're kind of coming up empty as far as like what you can learn from the documents. But while you are there doing that, you overhear a conversation. It's Damien Swallows. He's on his phone. He's in like the sort of record stacks on the other side of where you're at. He doesn't know about you, but you can hear him. He thinks he's alone. And he's talking. And he says, "Oh, yeah. Yeah, Ava, she's very, very, very on board with this. Well, let's just say I have the ability to provide Mrs. Cole with sort of entertainment that poor old Phoenix is not." Oh yeah. She's a real, yeah, he's like, "Oh yeah, handcuffs, bedposts, the whole thing. Yeah, absolutely. She's definitely down with this though. Yeah, well, the journalist is a complicating factor, of course, but nevertheless, these cops around here, like Keystone cops, I don't think they're gonna be able to figure anything out, to be honest. It should interfere with what we got going on. Okay. All right. Yeah, we'll talk later. All right. Bye. The clue is Damien Swells and Ava Cole are having a sexual relationship and are indeed conspiring in whatever deals Damien is trying to do. That is your clue.
I'm going to put all these deeds back into this box, and I'm going to go low on a shelf and put them in the back so that I don't want to be caught with them in case I bump into him. So I'm basically hiding the deeds amongst other historic documents and then trying to creep out of here.
Rosemary, when you get to Snowdrop House, what's your approach?
I was just going to. Well, I don't know. I don't really know what was going on. I don't think that she really knows what was going on the night before. So, she'd probably just maybe poke around. Where did y'all poke around upstairs at all, or like in the kitchen?
The kitchen's Millie's got the kitchen covered right now.
Okay. Yeah, that's right.
They found some nightshade in the garden behind.
Right.
Didn't really get to search upstairs. Not too much.
I was kidnapped from the kitchen.
Right. Yeah,
Okay.
that's true. Yeah.
Then probably just go poke around where we haven't looked yet. Maybe upstairs. Have a look in the room. Was the reporter staying here?
She was. That's not something that you all have like quite sorted out yet, but she actually was staying there. She had a room.
I'll go poke around in there.
But Rosemary, also Mrs. Carmack's.
Carfax, yeah. I'll just poke in all the rooms. Just breaking and entering.
Well, so the thing is, but what's your approach as far as getting in? You're just gonna like
getting in
or what? Yeah.
I'll just pretend like I've been there, or so I'm reasonably well known around town because we're the murder mavens. So I'll just, if anybody asks me, I'll just say, "Oh, I'm just here to collect something for Mrs. Carfax. She sent me to pick up something from her room."
Sounds good. When you step into the lobby, there's no one at the front desk.
Okay.
But there is a young woman sitting at a small table with some kind of recording device.
Mm.
And as you step in, you hear her say, "The front door opened up. A cold wind blew through the lobby. What sorts of secrets did that cold wind want to whisper in my ear? And what of the elderly woman who accompanied it? Her steps slowed by age, and perhaps slowed by the natural instinct of one who has lived such a long life that there was trouble in this place. A hesitation, perhaps." What do you do?
I think that my footsteps have slowed because it feels awkward to have your movements narrated. I guess I'll stop and I'll just look at her and wait for her to continue.
The crone stared at me.
I do not consent to have my personal description broadcasted to the world.
Well, could you? Could you? Okay, Michael, hold on. Yeah, hold on. Just make a note here. I'm going to see about getting a consent form, and we may have to change that. Just hold on. Click. Hi. I don't know where the front desk person is. I don't think they have any rooms available right now, though. There was a murder.
Oh, that's
here
okay.
last night.
I'm here on for something else. Were you here last night?
Well, I've been here since, I was here yesterday when the, happened.
Oh yeah. You haven't happened to be like poking around or like trying to learn anything on your own, have you?
Who's asking?
Well, I mean, I've heard of your podcast before. I just want to pretend like I actually recognize her.
Yeah.
And try to get her to.
What was the podcast was called, like Murder on the Sand or something like
Something like that,
what was the name of it? Do you remember?
I don't remember.
I think
But
that was it. I think it was Murder on the
I
Sand.
think it was Murder on the Sand.
Blood on the Sand, I think.
Blood on the Sand. That's right. Yeah. She says,
oh, that's great.
You know Blood on the Sand?
Oh yeah, top 400 podcasts, right?
Well, true crime. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if you listen to Blood on the Sand, then you know.
Oh, every quarter when a new episode comes out,
I go to any length necessary to learn the true story. I get right up in the shit. Okay.
As true crime fans, did you find anything of interest in the night last night?
I like this. Make the meddling move with presence.
Faster. Present. 0. 8.
We'll come back to that. Opal, are you there? I haven't seen you on camera. I don't know if Opal's there or not. You're muted, Opal.
Apologies, I turned off my camera because someone from my house came downstairs and I didn't realize I hadn't turned it back on.
No, that's no big deal. So Opal, once you're done having your pensive moment, then what do you do?
Opal, going through her mini depression arc, is probably going to I think that Opal is going to try and see if she can connect Pomegranate's Midwives of the Fragrant Voids, anything we learned about the U-boats or the commune or the Deep Reaver or Persephone to what Ms. Dawes was working on.
It would be a stretch, but it's not implausible. How are you going to do that? That's the big question here.
Yeah. I'm going to yeah. Well, I have that's where this is a bit of a swing. Black magic.
Oh, intriguing.
We haven't used that move yet.
You have not used the occult move yet.
I noticed that was one that was there.
I like the magic being triggered by the pomegranate somehow. Yeah. We have a lot of imagery with the pomegranate being cut open. We have the dream of the blood, like the hand being cut open at the same time as the pomegranate. That might be an interesting medium by which to work, something to do with pomegranates and blood. It's an intriguing idea and I'm into it. How are you going to, you got to justify this magic somehow though? Like, what are you going to do? What does it look like?
Yes. Just eating the pomegranate and then while eating it, just thinking about sort of sad about having endangered her fellow mavens and thinking about this mystery and feeling kind of tired, then biting through the pomegranate and on one of her fingers and sort of shaking it. The blood sort of splatters down. The blood and pomegranate juice mix and become indistinguishable as they splatter down onto the counter. Perhaps the seeds land in an auspicious way.
I like it. It's good. So that sounds like a good trigger for the move. And I think that I think basically the way this move is going to kind of work is if you're successful, you'll get to incorporate a void clue into the mystery. Can't normally do that. They're not normally available for solving the mystery, but I'll let you make one available for solving the mystery if you are able to succeed. Go ahead and roll with sensitivity. Yeah. At disadvantage though.
Can I use the pomegranate that's in my cozy little place to neutralize that?
You can mark it and neutralize it. Yeah, sounds good.
Wow. All right, that's 8 + 2.
Nice. On a hit, it works. If we were going to be continuing this campaign, we would write it as a full formal move. But since we're not, we'll just kind of play with that. But anyone can do it now, theoretically. Anyone can do pomegranate divination. I'm going to basically say that for purposes of our mystery right now, you get to use a single clue from the void clues as a clue for the mystery. Your choice when the time comes.
Nice. I'm certain that's going to be easy to figure out and incorporate.
It does mean you all have currently 9 clues, though, so I think we're probably getting pretty close here because you're going to get another one from Rosemary and then whatever Millie's about to do. Let's pick up with Millie. Millie, you're in the kitchen and Ava's keeping an eye on you. What are you doing?
Yeah, I think that I'm kind of leaning into this by kind of not making any effort to hide what I'm doing from Ava, but obviously I will be doing, a thorough inspection. So kind of opening up cupboards and looking at things and generally kind of getting up into everything that's sort of stored here in the kitchen and, checking the, sort of doing a fairly thorough
I like it.
search of the place, but yeah, in the guise of and I'll be kind of making comments about the the cleanliness of the place as I do so, sort of thing.
Yeah, that's great. Go ahead and roll with meddling move with reason.
Sure thing.
Actually, no, composure, because you're putting on a ruse.
Yeah, sure thing.
And disadvantage because you're marked by Ava.
Yep. I'm actually wondering. No, I think this reminds me of a of one of the Amanda Delacourt mysteries. Yeah. I think it was the Amanda Delacourt and the 4 and 20 Blackbirds, where a famous pie maker was found baked in their own oven, obviously there was an important clue was concealed in a box or in a like a bag of flour, I think that's and sort of the obviously the kind of the searching of the kitchen was a big an important part of that particular mystery. So I think that's kind of how it reminds me of that.
I love it. You do find a clue. You get 12 plus. You find a clue, and that is a mortar and pestle that looks like it was very recently used. There's some kind of plant matter at the bottom. That's your clue. You also find it's a void clue. The Coles have a dog that you don't recall before. It comes in from the back. And she's like, "Oh, hey, you." She says, "We inherited this little pooch when we bought the land. She gets down on her knees, and it's a large, shaggy black dog. It looks like it's been through some shit. It's got like very, very like obvious healed over wounds and patches of missing fur. Its eyes are dripping some kind of white fluid. And when they catch the light in a certain way, they seem to glow with an eerie red glow. You will also notice it has a name tag on its collar that is Kerberos.
And I think Millie will say, well, we do usually prefer that dogs not be allowed into commercial kitchens, Mrs. Cole, but
don't worry, I'll take him right out. And she says, come on, Kerberos. And she claps her hand, and the dog like snarls at you, but then leaves.
Yeah, and I think as she does that, Millie will kind of take the remnants of the plant matter in a napkin and put it in her handbag.
Indeed. Rosemary, Lara says, I actually did find something. And I'd be happy to tell you all about it.
If I'll sign the consent
If you
form.
sign this consent form.
Okay, you drive a very hard
She says,
bargain, but
do you know the murder mavens by chance?
I'm good friends with them.
Oh, that's great. I've got this consent form that specifically allows everything from the murder mavens to be used in our podcast. Would you be willing to sign that consent form?
Okay.
She's like, it's no big deal. Just a matter of like, just CYA,
The good news is no one will ever hear it.
Exactly, that's the thing.
Yes, I will get this signed for you.
She's like, great, I love it. Don't worry about that stuff about like intellectual property belonging to us or whoever and the names.
Okay,
That's
yeah.
important.
Okay.
Yeah, great, love that. And you're just like signing documents.
Just signing for a new mortgage. I don't even own a house.
And now the rights to all the murder mavens are signed away to Lara Sanchez and her low-ranked true crime podcast. She says, well, last night I was poking around and I might have ended up in the Cole's bedroom. Might have.
It happens.
It happens. You just get turned up. You get turned around in these old places, right? There's just so many places to go. Up the stairs, down the stairs. I mean, blah.
Behind locked doors.
Yeah. And I just happened to open up Mrs. Cole's underwear drawer. It happens.
Yeah, just you don't know where they keep those keys to keep out of the locked doors.
Yeah, it's crazy. And I happen to find these pictures. And she pulls out some pictures. And the pictures show some very, very, let's just say, it shows a couple of suspects in flagrante delicto. In particular, it shows Letitia and Phoenix Cole. Well, Letitia's not a suspect, but it shows Letitia and Phoenix Cole in lurid embrace.
Lots going on here.
A lot going on. I don't think you need any more clues. You have plenty to solve the mystery. We shall put the mavens back together. We'll take a break first so you can think about your theory. We'll take a good little break. We'll take like 15 minutes so you can really think about it. And we'll come back and hear your theories of the case. Pause this. Okay, so we'll handle theorizing just sort of out of character and then assume that your characters got together and talked about it. You've got a ton of clues. You've got 10 clues, plus you have access to, or no, I'm sorry. Yeah, you got 10 clues, plus you have access to a clue from the void clue list if you need it. Who has a theory?
Well, I kind of have a request. I'd kind of like to hear, since David's the author, I'd kind of like to hear what David's theory is.
That is true. David did write this mystery.
Sure. Well, I do actually have some thoughts on this one. So I think that this is. I'm going to say primarily Abraham Stockton, but potentially Abraham Stockton and Mrs. Carfax, in concert. I think it could go either way on that. And I think that this is some of the clues I think in here kind of are less about the actual murder and more about the situation in which the murder took place. So I think ultimately what Letitia was here to investigate was the strange goings on that have always plagued this sort of place. So that's where the kind of the land deeds came into it. The Stocktons, having a history of having enemies. Obviously, the fake death of Abraham was him covering his own tracks, and I think the nightshade was obviously the murder weapon, and that was obviously something that Abraham would have known about, at least having kind of been his land before, and knows the plants that grew here. That's where the mortar and pestle comes in as well. And I think what's telling about that is the fact that it was left dirty. And I think if it had, say, been Ava Cole who done it, she would have cleaned that after she had
clearly
used
would
it.
have cleaned it up, right? Yeah, she wouldn't just left it like that. Yeah.
Even not just from a covering up evidence point of view, it's just that seems like the sort of person.
Yeah, I think the fact that it's still messy is the clue, right? Yeah.
Then the kind of some of those other clues are more about the so there was obviously the warning not to give away that Letitia was going to be at Snowdrop House, but it is clear from both the fact that Letitia broke the story on the Coles and the fact that she had apparently been having an affair with Phoenix. They clearly knew who she was, so she wouldn't have been able to surprise them with her presence here. They'd have known who she was immediately, kind of thing. So it was obviously she wanted her presence here hidden from other people in town.
It sounds like what you're kind of suggesting, if I understand it correctly, that Abraham killed Letitia to cast aspersions on the Coles.
Yes, perhaps, or possibly to cover up. And this is, I think, possibly where the bringing in a void clue, maybe to cover up something that was going on in the caves. And that's the child, that weird like experience we all had in the caves is kind of what they were covering up. And I think that this maybe is kind of linked to the dark conspiracy, specifically this murder, or covering it up.
Yeah, I think it's a super interesting theory. I think that the land deeds and the Stocktons, like the Abraham Stockton theory, as you presented it, makes a lot of sense. The clues that aren't accounted for are, and they don't have to be necessarily, is Damien and Ava conspiring on a deal together that may have nothing to do with the murder, and whoever attacked Kate leaving town, that may or may not be connected to the murder either. We need more context there. The other clues that are all pretty well accounted for in this theory, because it kind of goes back to the Stockton the Stocktons basically having like all these like ancient enemies and like having a lot of like stuff go down on their land and having like connections to the ancient past, and Abraham just kind of fundamentally being angry about the Coles stealing their land. But it sounds like there was more to the story than just, oh, they took my farm, right? And him wanting to pin stuff onto the Coles. That's the most salient part for me. He's clearly trying to maybe set up the Coles in this scenario. It's a really intriguing theory. It gets you to at least a +2, maybe a +3 if we can make a stronger case with one of the void clues. But it's not a bad theory. Does anybody else have an alternate theory or an adjustment to that one?
I do have an alternate theory, but it goes in a completely different direction.
Let's hear it.
So 5 years ago, Letitia went undercover and seduced Phoenix as part in an unethical way of investigating their business practices.
Highly unethical.
Yeah, in an unethical way, but used to be a hellraiser.
True.
And as a result, the Coles lost pretty much everything. When this drove a wedge between the Coles, and over time, they started to learn about, Eva started to have an affair with Damien, and they began to conspire against sorry, the names are slipping from my brain. Phoenix. Phoenix. This was sort of a passive thing that was going on behind their affair until when setting up Snowdrop House, they met a young man named Percy Underwood, who had a big dream and not some knowledge of the town's history from his own family living here for a while, and not much resources to his name. So through Percy, they learn about the cave, and in the cave they find, Eva finds, because Damien is not in town at this since he doesn't live here, but Eva finds these documents. These that could, if she shifted her assets here, give her control of the majority of the town, quite possibly. So Damien, despite his revulsion at the very existence of this hamlet, comes into town, and however, Phoenix, who has been somewhat peripherally aware of there probably being an affair, catches on to something bigger brewing. And knowing only one person, he reaches out to Letitia because as much animosity, it's sort of a sexual tension of pure hatred between the two of them. And he's drawing her back in to take down his treacherous wife. Now, seeing Letitia here, who's already destroyed her world once, and this document plan, as big a swing as it is, could also backfire horribly and be viewed as, and with someone with more know-how than these yokels, could be turned against her pretty easily. So in a panic, takes some nightshade from the garden, grinds it up, and slips it into Letitia's coffee before passing it on. Then, however, this sort of backfires once again, because now these weird ass murder mavens, along with one of the town's police force who's here pining after her little henchmen, are on the scene.
And one of the
it-
murder mavens is a particular friend of Letitia,
Yeah.
too.
that as well. So it sort of is a spiral into trying to do whatever is necessary to keep this under wraps, the three of them, trying to get the documents to move them somewhere safe, trying to uh, paying off Percy with a big chunk of change and a bus ticket to get started on his new life, because if this doesn't work, they're fucked. If it does work, they'll be rich.
Ooh, one little point of interesting context is whoever kidnapped Kate was singing,
show tunes. Yeah, that's why I thought it was Percy. And then in this sort of horrible death spiral, they realize that, or I think that Eva might have seen Abraham and saw Eva took Damien, and Eva drove Damien away after he ran off. And Eva was responsible for not killing Abraham, but she realized she didn't have time, and using the red fed corn syrup for the snowdrop snow cones that she'd been transporting, just clubbed him over the head. It burst, and he was unconscious. It spilled everywhere.
Oh, I see. So Opal misinterpreted what happened there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Her
Yeah.
eyesight's not very good.
Yeah.
And then they came back and dragged him off. He might be dead now. I don't know. But
so then the Stockton's having many enemies is not connected to the actual murder then. It's still a pretty good theory. It's 9 clues on a complexity 7. Do you want to try to work in a void clue too?
Did you use the ticket?
The ticket, yeah, that was part of
Yeah.
Percy's payment for murdering you.
Yeah. That's just confirming that Percy was the one who kidnapped
Yeah.
Kate, basically.
It's a ticket to New York. I think that So what did we know about Kerberos again?
Just that the dog came with the farm, apparently.
Yeah, that's interesting to me, because it feels odd that the dog would not belong to the Stocktons, but instead be bound to the land almost. Like the dog, I don't feel, it feels like, I'm not sure if this doesn't, maybe, is the cave on the farm's lands? Like,
it is. Yeah.
Yeah. It feels like though the dog kind of lives in the house, the dog is responsible for watching whoever lived on the land and keeping them away from the cave. So the Stocktons had this sort of uneasy rivalry with the midwives. It's not actually connected to the murder so much as it is that Kerberos was an agent and is an agent of the midwives responsible for keeping the Stocktons or whoever is inhabiting away from the cave.
Yeah, I'm sure that's true. I'm not, and I like it as far as the story goes. I'm not sure it connects up to why they would kill Letitia though, or like how it connects to Letitia's murder specifically.
Yeah.
It's still a pretty good theory though. I mean, it's a great theory. You got a +2 on it. I mean, I think it works. We got 2 very good competing theories here. What about our Daniels? Do you have any thoughts?
In my notes, I was leaning more towards Ava. for me, the only thing really different is the ticket was it was Phoenix, and he knew they were up to something, and he was getting a ticket out of there. So after he helped clean this up, he was going to bolt. That's really my only difference between Liam's theory.
So it sounds like we got basically 2 votes for Ava and Co. plus as having done it. Daniel W., what do you think?
I was trying to work in a weird Lara Sanchez did it.
Oh, interesting. That's an interesting theory.
I didn't get far
Contract
enough.
will be null and void if she's arrested for murder.
Exactly. Yeah. But I like the Ava and Percy singing show tunes while tying up Kate.
Yeah, that's the really interesting. That's the interesting clue as far as that theory goes to me. The one that kind of like loops in Percy into all of it as the sort of like henchman. It's very intriguing, and also I like the context of like the snow cone thing and like and Opal misinterpreting entirely the situation with Abraham. I think that's pretty great. Yeah, they're both very, very good theories, though. I'm fond of them both. David, are you willing to relinquish your theory to this one, or do you want to make the case for Abraham in stronger terms?
No, that's cool. That's cool.
I am interested because I really think that one of the really key parts of David's is that Ava would have cleaned up the mortar and pestle.
I think I tend to agree. And then that makes me wonder if maybe it was Percy who did the poison.
Yeah,
right.
That's where I was going to go with it.
Yeah, I think Ava would have cleaned up the mortar and pestle. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. But Percy might not have. So it could just confirm that Percy is the one who did the actual poisoning. Percy did all the like mechanics of the conspiracy. Right. It's a good theory. Liam, roll with +2. Let's see how it goes. But I want to have noted that the Abraham theory is also very, very good. I like them both quite a lot. They lead to different types of stories, but they're both very
good. That's 7 + 2, 9.
Fantastic. I like that a lot. Oh, just for fun, David Morrison, roll +2 for yours to see if Abraham's more correct.
That's a 12.
We're gonna have to combine them. We're gonna have to combine them.
Yeah. Let's go with the Ava and Co did it. I was curious that's what the dice would say about the 2 theories.
You win.
I'm not going to make you. It's a complication. I think I'm more interested in just sort of narrating how this goes. I don't think we're going to make it any more complicated than that since we're at the end here. Everyone just basically the scene is going to be confronting and bringing Ava to justice. The other conspirators will fall after she does. So who wants to kick off the scene? Like, what does this look like?
I think if we bring in acting Sheriff Anderson and we let him know that we have some possibly good news or bad news about Percy and
he's gonna have to arrest his crush.
Yeah, like he might have a captured audience for a while with Percy. I think
for a good while.
if we throw that at acting Sheriff Anderson, I think that's how we started up.
Very good. He'll also probably note that it's his job to follow up on such things, and so he will do that. Very good. Then what?
We sort of gather in the dining room again, I suppose. All the suspects just sort of and then I think that Opal is going to distribute cups of coffee that are cups of coffee, and then just sort of explain, well, we've figured most of it out. You see, it was a terrible, terrible thing. You see, yes, Letitia actually had a heart attack, which is why, in her memory, we're drinking coffee from the last glass that was made for her. And I just wait to watch 3 people spit it out.
Very good. Very good. What happens next, Millie?
Yeah, I think Millie is going to enter the room still in disguise, and then reveal, with a flourish, remove her wig and say, and unfortunately, it would seem that you'll be failing your health inspection, my dears, putting deadly nightshade into one's guests' drinks is considered rather a serious infraction of Brindlewood County health codes.
Indeed, it is.
And then the rest of the suspects spit out their coffee.
Exactly. Yeah. Rosemary, what do you do when in a little bit of an echo from our first mystery, Ava pulls a gun in an attempt to escape?
Did we get the musket?
Yeah. Can I have had grabbed the musket picked up the musket from Kate's house?
Yes, sure.
That's it.
If Kate's
I loaded it. It's in your van. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm standing in the window and I say, "Not so fast, my dear," and I just have this musket from the window.
Very good. Very good. I love it. Deputy Anderson will
fire it from 5 feet away. It just explodes.
Deputy Anderson brings Ava in the days to follow. Percy is apprehended. He tried to get away on that bus. As is Damien Swallows. He's taken in, and Brindlewood Bay is safe once more. I think some of you owe crowns, either of the Queen or the Void. If you want to do that now, that would be great. Whoever wants to go first, read your prompt and then do it.
Yeah, I'm good to do mine. So I think we see Millie a bit younger than she is today. This is probably maybe about 20 years ago, say. She is, I think we get one of those kind of split screen shots with her on a phone, and another woman of similar age to her, looks similar enough that likely to be related, and she's saying, well, I mean, of course, I'm sorry that Mum's ill, but Jerry's not been well either, and I can't just come over and leave him behind. And her sister sort of, replies and say, "Oh, we know you've like abandoned us for better things over in America and all this." And says, "Look, I maybe if I'd been made to feel more welcome back when I was with you, I'd be more inclined to come back now. But that's not the point. I hope everything goes well with Mum, but I've got to stay here for now. I should get over for Christmas." And I think we just kind of get that both of them hanging up, and we've seen sort of both shots. We see kind of the sister attending to their mother, who's looking quite frail and unwell. But we also get kind of a shot back to Millie, where she's going to Jerry, who's in bed in their sort of apartment, looking kind of pale and almost skeletal, as she's sort of like helping him with some medication.
Nice, thank you.
I have a flashback that says, or a crowd that says, narrate a scene of the present day showing a private side of you that very few get to see. And this would be a scene with Kate sitting at a computer, and she's doing some kind of video chat with her granddaughter. Her granddaughter is probably around 12, and she's upset because of Kate's daughter, her mom, won't let her do something or insists that she has braces. And so this scene shows Kate telling her granddaughter like how to maneuver her relationship with her mom and basically giving her granddaughter lots of really good advice and to keep the three of their relationships solid with communication.
Nice, thank you. Were there any other crowns? Okay, then that will conclude our session and our series. Let's go ahead and do end of session questions just to see how you all ended up XP wise. Everyone's getting credit for the first one because you did solve a mystery, so go ahead and note that. Rosemary, I think you probably behaved like a woman half your age with your various car things today.
Driving, yeah.
And
Did you
dote on
the Lara Sanchez?
Oh, I'll take it. Yeah, I thought that was
Okay.
pretty good. Yeah. Millie, did you show someone you've still got it?
No, I don't think specific. I think maybe the closest thing was that kind of the comparison we saw between her and Mrs. Carfax. Being the kind of the younger woman, as it were, in that encounter. But no, I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Specific. I must admit, I forgot to
pulling off the
update
wig
my
is
questions.
Pulling off the wig is pretty ballsy there at the end. That's really,
Oh yeah, I kind of
his
like the
eye.
reveal.
That's
Yeah,
true,
that was
I guess.
actually-
Yeah.
Especially in terms of an acting. In terms of acting,
Yeah.
I agree with that because
Yeah.
you're showing that you still got. You're
Yes,
still an
that's true.
actress.
That's true. Yeah, that's true.
Did you share your wisdom with a young person?
No, I don't think I did this time.
Kate, did you secretly undermine the authority of a local official?
not this time. No,
Did you behave like a woman half your age?
maybe in the cave, swinging.
Oh yeah, grabbing
Carfax,
Carfax and tossing her, yeah, to the other cultists. I'll agree with that. Opal, did you show someone that you've still got it?
I can't think of anything off the top of my head.
Did you behave like a woman half your age?
Opal didn't do a ton this session.
Mostly had strange, dreamy weirdness and magic going on.
I mean, I suppose I guess there might be an argument to be made for experimenting with dangerous magics.
Yeah, I'll take that for the third one. I think it's kind of fun. I think it's in the spirit of it anyway. You're kind of like exploring new things as an older person. Okay, well, so that's that. Let's do stars and wishes. This will be for the whole series, not just today. Things you enjoyed are stars, either bits of role play, something I did, something about the game, something your fellow players did, really anything. And then wishes are mostly just things that you maybe would like to have seen if the story continued, or things, parts of the game that you would like to have seen more of, or whatever. So whoever wants to start, take it away.
I think the podcast came up a few times, and those were fun. Even before Lara, we were talking with we podcast came up before. Jason, your knowledge of land deeds and court records, that seemed really to add to the game. And just this session, my favorite scene was the cave tiki torture scene, the whole scene with the cave. And then we mentioned off camera, but if this was to continue, I really would like to see Opal infiltrating the midwives. I think that would have been a blast.
That definitely kind of felt like that's where that story was going, and almost inevitably because of the Dale Cooper move in some ways. A star for me. I really enjoyed the whole series was really fun. I think we got a really good chance to see these characters and kind of what they're about. And I liked how the characters were so different from each other. I thought that was really fun. Just the way they solve problems and sort of the way they understand the world. I thought that was really great. For today, I also really enjoyed the cave scene. I thought that was really, really just the idea, just the picture of these elderly women going into a cave with tiki torches. It just felt very Brindlewood Bay, you know? And so I was really happy with that. I loved the scene with the health inspector. I thought that was really great fun. And I also star for invoking the occult move. I thought that was, I'm really glad we got to do that at least once during this series. So that was very enjoyable.
I put all my stuff into sensitivity.
Yeah. I might have other stars, but that's what I got for now.
I had stars for everyone for their mavens. I really enjoyed all of the characters. David and his, especially in the second episode, with all the theater references, were just great. And then for this one, I constantly really enjoyed the Jason putting all the mavens into danger, just like on the edge, on the precipice of danger. Just really makes it a lot of fun and like nerve-wracking to play some of these scenes. Yeah, those were my big stars. Wishes. I would like to see. I would have loved to see Opal infiltrate the midwives. Would have been. That's just, you could just see that happening. Yeah, I don't know if I had any other wishes. Just play more of these.
A cloak with like 6 cardigans underneath. Yeah, I also had 1 stars for all the other mavens. For Millie definitely felt like the most high class of us, like the highest status member of our crew, and when dealing with social circles. I really liked how Kate was always connecting things to the history of the town and really
Yeah, that was
tying us into Brindlewood Bay as a place where, since we're all outsiders in a way, that was a really nice link to have for us. And I liked how Rosemary's van like added so much character to add so much character to everything she did, from running over a midwife to just parking outside to keep watch and make sure we were all right over the night. And I really enjoyed running how Jason ran the mysteries, because I remember the first time the night move was like, you die, you're just gonna die. I was like, whoa. It was really cool to see the design in action, where previous games, PBTA games even, have been a little softer in that regard. And then Wish. Yeah, I honestly thought Opal was going to get kidnapped. And I thought that would have been another interesting direction to take it. I also wanted to find out more about the Sutton sailor, because come on, that can't be a coincidence.
Yeah, that would have been fun to follow up on in a
Yeah.
future session for sure. Yeah, that would have been a wish for me. Yeah.
And also, there was a part of me that just wanted to see Bast and Kerberos fight, not for any real reason, just because I thought it'd be funny.
Just the idea of like a dog named after a Greek myth and a cat named after an Egyptian myth, like going at it. Yeah, David.
No, I was going to say, obviously, like stars around for me. I mean, the big high level star is, it's been really great to actually get a chance to play Brindlewood Bay. Listen, I've run it before, I've written for it, but I've not actually been in it as a player, so that's been a whole lot of fun. So thank you everyone for that. I again, echoing what everyone said, I've really enjoyed how everyone's played their characters. It has really felt like kind of an interesting mix of characters. Everyone feels a bit different, everyone approaches things a bit differently. It definitely feels like that kind of procedural TV style, everyone has their niche, carved out for them, sort of thing. So I thought that was awesome. I really enjoyed today. Yeah, again, the theorizing was a lot of fun. The action, as has already been mentioned, was really good fun. So some really good cliffhanger moments, dramatic moments today. What I also really liked as well, sort of as a balance to that, was I thought I really liked that it was a nice mix between the really hard kind of misses and stuff where like, oh yeah, you die, but also with enough of those sort of misses in there where it's like, no, actually this has sent the story in an interesting way, so it's something we can live with, kind of thing. And I think it's nice to have that balance in there. So that was awesome. I think that's starts to everything.
I have a
It's been
star.
a really good run, but yeah,
I have a star going back to I guess it must have been last session, I think, or maybe it was the session before, but the one where David, you did the cowboy calamity.
Oh yes.
Commercial.
That was fun.
Yeah, I missed that. That was great. I heard it on the recording.
It was amazing.
I really loved the scene with the podcaster, between Rosemary and the podcaster. That was fun to role play out.
I love Lara Sanchez. Lara Sanchez is probably my favorite suspect of of maybe all the mysteries. I really love Lara Sanchez. I love to play Lara Sanchez. I like the little. I just like.
You were having a lot of fun with your narration.
I really enjoyed that character. Percy's really fun too, but I really love Lara. And of the mysteries I wrote, there's other, I love June Willoughby. I love lots of the suspects, but Lara is so fun to play. Yeah, just a great addition.
I had just listened to you run it a couple weeks ago, the first thing on your YouTube channel, and I was like, as soon as you started mentioning her, I'm like, I'm just gonna let him describe me, and I'm just gonna not consent, and then we're gonna go from there. I thought it was great. And one wish still, we didn't ever see Hank again, as far as I'm aware.
You did not, no.
Yeah.
Poor Hank.
Unfortunately, like, he could have showed up last time, but we had a doctor's visit to go to. So
what if this I could do a stinger showing Hank still at the coffee shop. So
still there,
just every day.
Poor Hank.
Yeah.
And for me, my wishes, I think only a couple really that were things that very minor wish, just on what we said about Lara, is I wish I'd spent a bit of time with Lara, because I think it would have been fun for the two of us to interact. But just like what I was doing took me in different directions. So which happens. The other wish, I think, is goes back. It would have been nice to see like a little bit, a few more cozy moves and that sort of thing. But I think just given that we were running over a short period, it was never going to. The pacing worked. The pacing worked well the way it did. So I think it's less that it. I think it felt right the way we did it. It just, if we had been running over a longer time, it would have been nice to get that little bit more space to breathe in between mysteries, rather than as I'm wrapping up the I'm just about done with the main book for Kickstarter, like, and getting ready to send it to layout. And one of the things I've been focusing on is giving keepers advice on like how to work the cozy moves in, because depending on which mysteries you choose, it can sometimes feel hard to get the cozy moves done. And so I'm going to try to like, it's got some advice where it's like, basically like, okay, if the mystery is more of a closed room mystery, this is maybe how the cozy move can work, or this is how you can maybe get the cozy move introduced, give the characters some space to do it. Like with this one, like last week, what I would normally do when I'm running Long Dark Tea Time is the Mavens immediately start investigating after Letitia's death. But what I did instead was I basically cut you all loose to come back later, and so you had time to do cozy move. Yeah,
but
no, and I think that was a cool move. And I think maybe even like over a longer period of time, I think if I were running again a sort of longer campaign, I'd even be tempted to just have maybe like the odd session where it's like that we're just going to focus on.
We're going to do that. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. Meeting up with side characters, having cozy moves, and peripheral stuff kind of thing. But no, exactly. So I think the pacing was really, really good for these sessions we've had. So
finishing a mystery per episode for the first 2 sessions was great. Like I know that we had to stretch it on the first one where we had just the right amount of clues, and it was just right, barely passed. Yeah. But I thought it was great. So yeah. I do love your stingers though. The stingers were a highlight for me.
Yeah, stingers are also a more prominent thing in the final rules text too. It's nice. It's just kind of like a, basically in the game as it currently exists, it's just a thing you to do because maybe you've watched one of my videos. Right. It's not really like in the text, but it's entering the text. So yeah,
the stinger, and then actually seeing like between, we didn't really do it this time, but the learning how, one of the things that's like feels a little weird in the text, I just reread the book, or the PDF as it exists now, was the how to handle the start of the session where you have the cliffhanger, but maybe you had something that was left over. Like how much do you allow to actually happen at the beginning of a session before you go into vignettes?
Well, so one thing, a lot of that is getting clarified and revised, because the initial way that the game was conceived is you could have multiple mysteries on the go, but that's not the way it is anymore. The way it is now is it is strictly episodic. Mysteries do not bleed into one another. And so that actually changes a lot about structure too, as it turns out. But yes, all will be revealed probably by the end of July. So you should have the PDF to Brindlewood Bay by the end of July. So, at least at the pace we're keeping anyway.
I know that it's a side question, but do you have the same idea as far as threats go in the between, or do you prefer the multiple threats in the between? Like going on at the same time?
The between is absolutely staying multiple threats on the go. Cool. Yeah, that's a really key part of that game's feeling. Yeah. It's meant to feel like essentially like Gotham City, right? Like it's meant to be like a kind of trouble everywhere kind of feeling. So fantastic. Any other stars or wishes? Okay. Well, thank you all so much. This was great fun. I'm glad we got to do this for a few weeks, and I am sure I'll get to play with all of you again at some point in the future.